Welcome to the Transforming Education for Social Justice Conference, the first annual. I'm Sapphire Dion.
Hola, yo me llamo Stephanie Duque, yo voy a ser la traductora para la conferencia y ella se llama Sapphire. Esta es la primera conferencia de educación transformativa para la justicia social. Gracias por hacer este evento un éxito.
We will be doing this introduction in Spanish and in English. And Stephanie just said this is the very first conference, and thank you for coming here to make it a success. Starting any well, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic right now to members of the Native American Intertribal Council of Western Massachusetts, and they're going to open the space for us.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see so many faces trying to make a difference. As Sapphire said, we're from the Native American Intertribal Council. If you're interested in more information or anything about us, I have a notepad over there. You can put your name, email, number on there, and we will try and get in contact with you. We are starting to go into schools and do many things. At this time, I'm going to ask Running Black Wolf to open the space with a prayer, and then She Carries the Sky will bless us with some song, and hopefully you guys have a wonderful day and learn some ways to make an impact. I'm Tassandra.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. And before we begin prayer, we want to offer you something which is a part of tradition, which is something that our ancestors have done for thousands of years, as far as I know. This is a ceremonial tobacco tie, and this is what our ancestors gave to neighboring tribes. And we always did this out of respect and out of honor to the people that we were meeting. And the reason is, this is one of our 4 sacred medicines, tobacco. And this is tied in a traditional manner with all the sacred colors. And this is also a feather for you as well. So we want to present this to you for inviting us and for thinking of us, and to continue this tradition, which is very important to Native people. So thank you. I'd just like to open with a quick prayer, as I said, we're really honored to be here, and it's important to always start things like this where you're trying to go forward in a good way with positive prayer, and that's why we were smudging as well, because what that does is it clears all the bad out, welcomes in all the good, helps us start in a good way. Say it like that. Great mystery, we thank you for this day, this gift, this breath of life. We ask that you watch over all the people here and guide us in a good way to positive change. And we thank you for this day. It's a good day. It's a good day indeed to meet new people, hopefully establish new relationships, and continue forward. We thank all of our ancestors, all of our We thank the winged, the four-legged, the creepy crawlies, and the fin ones. Of course, our Mother Earth, that provides us with all these things so we may live. We forget that sometimes. We thank Grandmother Moon, who's full today. We thank Grandfather Sun. All of them work in unison in a circle so that we may live. With that I say, oh.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So my name is Wendy. My Native American name is Kalunyahawi, which is Iroquois. I'm of the Iroquois Nation, Cherokee, Mohawk, Blackfoot, and Cree. Kalunyahawi means she carries the sky. I'm going to sing a song in Cherokee. It's called the Cherokee Morning Song because it's morning. It's very fitting. That's what Spirit has asked me to bring you all today. I will sing in Cherokee, but the translation is, I am of the Great Spirit. I am of the Great Spirit. It is so, Great Spirit, Great Spirit. I'm going to sing it 4 times to honor the 4 directions. Wende Yahoo, Wende Yahoo, Wende One day, oh, 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 hey, oh, hey, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Aho, and I wish you all Akwani, which means peace.
Thank you very much for that beautiful opening. So this conference, I want to give a little bit of background or a little bit of vision about why this conference. And I think many of you know why. You have asked for it. You want to be here. We're so glad that you're here.
Esta conferencia es importante porque vamos a poder ver qué poderoso es el trabajo de personas en varias regiones y también qué difícil es conectar con esas personas.
This conference is important because we see that there is a lot of powerful work being done in little pockets, a lot of times in isolation. But notice that there are relatively few opportunities for cross-pollination and connection across our region. So we want to be able to see each other, what we're doing, and what we need.
También hemos notado que hay muchas personas preguntando sobre cómo tratar con el clasismo, racismo, opresión de los transgéneros y otras cosas en sus escuelas, pero no saben cómo hacerlo.
We've also noticed that there are many people asking for help around how to deal with issues pertaining to racism, to sexism, to classism, transgender oppression, and more in their schools, but are really unclear about what to look for, what to ask for, what's possible.
Queremos aprender y hacer más cosas en las escuelas con la justicia social.
We wanted to help all of us see both the powerful work that's being done and also to get to see the many people who want to be learning and want to be doing more towards the goal of transforming our schools, towards social justice.
Muchas personas preguntan, ¿pero cómo lo van a hacer? Y otros tienen la respuesta.
Some of us come here with big questions. How do we do this? And some of us come here with answers about what needs to be done. We need each other.
Haciendo justicia social en New England significa que tenemos que primero saber sobre las injusticias de colonización en esta tierra que sigue impactando a los americanos nativos.
Doing social justice work in New England means that we attend to the original injustices of colonization on the land which continues to impact Native people.
Significa que tenemos que cambiar el sistema de educación.
It means that we need to change things in our education system to reflect all of the ways that Black lives matter.
Significa que estudiantes latinos se pueden ver ellos mismos en el currículo.
It means that we create schools and classrooms where Puerto Rican and Dominican and Salvadoran students get to see themselves reflected in the curriculum.
Significa que adultos empiecen a escuchar a los estudiantes para hacer cambios.
It means that adults learn to really deeply listen to young people to lead these changes.
Un día no va a cambiar lo que queremos ver, pero nuestras relaciones, coraje y disposición para cambiar lo que está roto puede cambiar todo.
So here we have another starting place today. Building on the work that's already been done for many, many years in many different places, we come together to connect and to learn so that we can stand with each other in service of our visions for transformation.
Ahora quiero introducir los presentadores del Keynote.
Also, a one-day conference will not in it itself make the changes we want to see, but our relationships and courage and willingness to look at and transform what's broken will change everything. So now I would like to introduce our keynote. And we have Palante, the Holyoke High School's Restorative Justice leaders. And they're going to be talking about moving towards transformative justice. The restorative justice movement in schools is continuing to expand as laws and policies mandate that schools find alternative approaches to exclusionary discipline. At Holyoke High School, young people have created a model program that seeks to engage youth and adults in practices such as community building, support, and accountability circles, and through their work with circle practice, they are challenging traditional paradigms of power that often leave youth voice out of the decision-making process around discipline and whole school climate and culture.
El movimiento de la justicia restaurativa está creciendo más porque leyes están haciendo que escuelas encuentren alternativas a prácticas excluyentes. Este grupo ha creado un programa que le da voz a los estudiantes y que ayuda a conectar a los jóvenes con adultos para la construcción de comunidad, soporte y círculos de accountabilidad.
Instead of simply working to restore existing oppressive conditions, which is a common approach to restorative justice work in schools, the youth in Palante are working to make their school truly responsive to the needs of students. Youth in Palante see their work as part of a long legacy of youth movements in communities of color that have always been at the forefront of work for educational justice. As such, they ground their work in circle keepers in an analysis of systems of oppression and consistently work to confront these circles, to confront these oppressive systems as they play out in schools. No confronting the circles, it's not what's happening. In addition to their work with circles, they currently run workshops for teachers and youth to raise awareness about how the school to prison pipeline works, how it can be interrupted through meaningful educational practices and meaningful partnerships with youth.
Ellos no están tratando de solo restaurar las condiciones opresivas, pero de verdad cambiar el sistema para soportar a los estudiantes. Ellos están demostrando el impacto de su programa en su comunidad de color y querer pelear contra estos sistemas opresivos y han estado trabajando con otros jóvenes para poder parar el sistema de ir a la escuela y después a la cárcel.
And now we add keynotes at a conference to their resume.
Yeah!
Warning, the following material will be highly disturbing and may deeply challenge what you think about discipline in school. Viewer discretion is advised. So, have you guys ever had a bad day, whether you're at work or school or just in your daily life? Well, I was having one of those days. But when I have those days, I completely shut down. I don't talk, I have no interactions, but I still try to go to school, and I still try to learn. My mind was racing, full of ideas, and trying to figure out what was going on in my life and how to resolve the issues I was going through. My teacher decided to mock me in front of the whole class just because I wouldn't talk. Mind you, I was still trying to get my education. Then he sent me out, causing me to miss the class that I was still trying to learn in, adding more stress into my life because he simply didn't care.
So I got suspended up to 3 times because I was getting my siblings ready. We were going through a hard time as it was because my mom just came back from brain tumor removal surgery and I needed to take a step into her shoes. No one even offered to everybody was unable to offer me support because they didn't ask me why I was late. They just suspended me on the spot. When they suspended me, I started missing days of school instead of minutes. But I guess it's okay because I was on school on time.
All right, so I'm in middle school. It was mandatory to wear uniforms. And so one day, I realized I didn't have any clean uniforms left. So I went to school with different clothing, but similar colors to the uniform. Later, my teacher sent me out of class for not following dress code. And later on, I get suspended for not having a uniform on. So literally that same day, my grade was taking the math MCAS, which is a point and standardized test. So I had to make up that part of during the summer, which made me miss out days of hanging out with my family.
So, ¿por qué mi lenguaje nativo te amenaza tanto? So, yo estaba en el salón de matemática tratando de ayudar a mi amigo que no hablaba tanto inglés. Yo solamente quería ayudarlo para entender el trabajo que la maestra nos dio. La maestra me mandó para afuera por 2 bloques para in-house. ella sabiendo que yo tenía que tener un examen en el otro bloque.
So I was in my math class and there was this boy who spoke primarily Spanish, and so he asked me what the instructions were, so I told him in Spanish what the instructions were, and the teacher sent me out for 2 blocks just for translating what the work was. I didn't know my native language was so threatening.
Alright, I've been 15 minutes late to my first block for about a month now, and my mom and dad, they just split up, and my dad moved to Texas. Like, can you believe that? So who has to pick up the slack and get my sister to school? I do. So you see, last week I got 2 days of in-school suspension for being tardy. You want me in school, but you have me missing school as a punishment. Talk about mixed messages.
Have you ever got suspended for fighting? Well, I did. See, me and my friend were minding our own business. A group of students just surrounded us. They were gonna jump us. The teachers just walked by, didn't even do nothing. See, then someone swung at me and my friend. Me and him just started defending ourselves. The teachers just saw this and just didn't even do nothing. We just stopped. We went inside. After I went inside, the principal called me to his office. He said, "You're getting suspended for fighting." After the suspension was over, I had to go back into class with the students who assaulted me. I had no support with any of that.
School should be a place where you learn about our rights.
School should be a place where we learn about respect.
School should be a place we learn about integrity.
La escuela debería ser un lugar donde aprendemos sobre generosidad.
School should be a place where we learn about humility.
School should be a place where we learn about trust.
School should be a place where we learn about strength. Para seguir pa'lante.
Alright, I want to thank you guys for coming and listening to us. RIGHTS is actually an acronym, and it's our core values that we created for our school and for the students, well, not only the students and the youth, but the staff and anybody who comes into our school to follow. Yeah, thank you. I'm Bianca, and I'm a sophomore.
Yeah, Bianca.
I'm Marco, and I'm also a sophomore.
I'm Tommy, I'm a junior.
I'm Sierra, I'm a sophomore.
I'm Bianca and I'm a junior.
I'm Stephanie and I'm a junior.
I'm Thomas, I'm a senior.
Thank you. All right. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, I need more enthusiasm than that. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I like that. All right, that's good. All right. So we're at Palante at Transformative Justice at Holyoke High School, and we wanted to share some stories with you that we have collected since we started our work in the summer of 2015. These stories are fortunately true, and stories like similar to these are happening all across the country in schools.
Hello, buenos días a todos.
Buenos días.
Ahora vamos a estar hablando sobre cómo nosotros empezamos este grupo. Lo empezamos con Chicago, con un muchacho que se llamaba José, Jiménez, Chacha, algo así, no sé muy bien. Pero nosotros empezamos con este grupo para dar unas organizaciones para comunicarnos contra nuestra comunidad y ser mejor para la justicia sobre los negros y los puertorriqueños.
The Transformative Justice Program at Holyoke High School is called Palante, named after the Young Lords bilingual newspaper, which was published to make sure their community had a voice and represented the struggle in the Black and Latino community.
Why we think people should learn about the young lords in school is how they did their work. They built support for the social justice movements by providing for the community's basic needs. The institutions in their own communities did not respond to the demands where in rich white communities, resources were already available, so they created their own. They're an example of self-determination in youth of color fighting for change.
Eventualmente todo empezó con las universidades en New York. Los negros y los puertorriqueños en North, en Chicago, aprenden sobre los trabajos que ellos empezaron en New York de los grupos.
Eventually, Black and Puerto Rican college students in New York heard about the Lords in Chicago and met up with them to learn about their work and started a chapter in New York City.
Like the young lords, we fight for justice for our people. Now, if I walked around the room right now and asked everybody what justice meant to them, I guarantee you all answers would be different. So before we start talking about the work we do, I want to clarify what we mean by justice. The young lords fought for a vision of justice by providing for the community's basic needs. That's why their platform included demands for housing, healthcare, education, and an end to police brutality and youth imperialism.
So this is completely different from the way Western ideas are practiced in this country. And when you think about our justice system, you think about punishment, revenge, like an eye for an eye, like the death penalty, criminalizing behaviors, even when they're connected to people who are just trying to get their basic needs met. They position people as adversarial to one another. And last, they focus on isolation and exclusion and often takes power out of our community to solve their own problems.
So when you think about what's happening in schools, as Bianca said, this is why we have the school to prison pipeline.
Transformative justice is the opposite of the Western ideas of justice. Our practices were initiated by the Native people and communities. We do this work to bring people together to figure out how an entire community can support one another during a crisis, to set justice for both the person harmed and the harming. And to finally, to remove beyond just simply repairing the issue. We actually want to address the oppression youth are facing, such as racism, adultism, and sexism.
I know we're at a social justice and education conference, but since that word has been used and co-opted a lot, well, you know. We wanted to take a moment and share a video that we have used and trained before with other students, so when we say the school to prison pipeline, you'll know what we mean.
The school to prison pipeline. It's a term that describes how American kids get pushed out of public schools and into the juvenile and criminal justice systems. Basically, harsh zero-tolerance policies in schools have led to more suspensions, expulsions, and even in-school arrests. Getting suspended or expelled means more time away from school, and it doesn't take an honor student to figure out that's bad news. In fact, expelled and suspended students are more likely to get held back a grade, end up in juvie, or just drop out altogether. And dropping out of high school makes you 3 times more likely to get arrested. Back in school, forget about hallway monitors. Students these days often have to deal with school police. Minor offenses that might have landed you in the principal's office back in the day can now actually lead to your arrest. Students of color and those with disabilities are disproportionately affected. Black students get expelled 3 times more than their white classmates, while a student with a disability is 2 times more likely to get an out-of-school suspension than everyone else. And it's not because these kids are just bad apples. The Justice Department found that black students got harsher punishments than their white peers for doing the same things. So maybe it's time our education system got schooled?
One of the main things we are against is the school to prison pipeline, or the way students are being pushed out of schools. So, we started Palante last year because Holyoke High is and continues, was and continues to be a school where students are consistently pushed out of school, especially Latino students. Holyoke Public Schools naturally became 4th in the nation where Latino students are being suspended. Like, can you believe that? 4th in the nation. So, restorative justice is helping students be interested in school and get the support that they need so they don't get pushed out. Across the country, it has reduced the suspensions, expulsions, and arrests.
So the Department of Education has endorsed the word restorative practices, but conspicuously dropped the word justice. Like what? It's restorative justice, not restorative practices. So there are many schools that are using like the so-called restorative practices. You would think that was good, right? It's not. It's not good. We believe that by schools now focusing on the justice aspect creates schools that are unjust to many communities, in particular low-income, communities of color, LGBTQ youth, and differently abled youth. These are all communities deeply impacted by the school-to-prison pipeline.
So, one thing that we use to stop school-to-prison pipeline is circles. We use circles for students to get to the heart of the problem that the students might need to solve. Some of the circles we use is conflict circles, grief circles, accountability. When we use circles, we want to make a safer environment for the students to feel safe, so we can fix the problem or situation from student to student or student to teacher, and we can make an agreement. We use a talking piece. No one speaks over each other. Everyone shares from their heart, and we get to the bottom of the issue. It's not about figuring out right or wrong. It's about addressing the real issue and figuring out how can we move forward without anyone continuing to be hurt in the way that brings health and healing.
The practice of circle keeping is very sacred to us. It's sacred because it was kept alive at risk. The teacher of circle keeping is Dr. Saira Pinto. She has taught us about the ghost dance. In 1890, it was used as a practice and a ceremony to get the Europeans to stop stealing the native people's lands. As a result, the Lakota people who refused to stop dancing, their lands were increasingly occupied by the US Army. This led to the Wounded Knee Massacre. 250 through 300 Lakota people were slaughtered, mainly women and children. After that, 20 English soldiers received medals of honor. I know. The Wounded Knee Massacre led to the federal laws being passed, which led to the imprisonment of any Native people doing any sorts of ceremonies or dances. In 1978, the Native American Religious Freedom Act was passed. This bring the practices back out of the shadows. As I said before, this practice is very sacred. It's sacred because it was kept alive at the risk of their own lives. So if you're going to use talking circles in school, please teach the history. To not do so is an injustice to the Native people.
She's preaching. All right, another way we fight for justice in our school is through organizing. We believe it is important that young people have a sense of community, that they unite to fight for change. We want to share another video clip with you that teaches something important about the youth voice. Now, don't get mad at me for this. So, I'm gonna give you, since probably some of you have stopped watching animated films a while ago, I'm not gonna say how many years. No disrespect. No disrespect. All right. Nemo is a fish who was... Nemo was a fish who was born with one fin smaller than the other, which kind of makes it harder for him to swim. In the film, he gets kidnapped by some fishermen, and his father spends the entire film looking for him. In this scene, they reunite.
Nemo? Nemo? Nemo! Dory? Nemo! Nemo! I'm coming, Nemo! Nemo! Oh, thank goodness. It's all right, son. It's gonna be okay. You're right.
that's my childhood right there. Alright. So obviously, if Dory and the other fish had been going in the same direction towards their freedom, they wouldn't have been saved. So Nemo had an important idea that his father at first didn't want to listen to. But in the next moment, his father then let go of his control and listens and follows his son's lead. So, why is this an important lesson? We think it shows the power of young people's ideas and the importance of adults acting as our allies.
Okay, so like we said before, like the young lords and the Nemos of the world, we fight for change in our community. So we want to close by sharing some of the big projects we've done to change policies and practices that have hurt young people and fueled the pipeline.
De una manera que hacemos esto es con los proyectos de White Power. Hace un año empezamos a resolver los problemas de la escuela suspension.
One way we do this is through White Power projects. Last year we took on the practice of the in-school suspension room.
At the beginning of our project, we came up with a set of questions to get to the root of the problem we saw with the students' in-school suspension room. One of the two questions. One is, to what extent in the in-school suspension room providing students with the support they need to change their behavior? And second, how can the in-school suspension room be a place of real support for students?
All right, so after conducting interviews and meeting with with experts in the field of education, we came up with the following problem statement. So the practices of in-school suspensions are not getting to the root of the problem and often make existing problems worse. All right, so for our research, we used a mixed methods approach, and we used quantitative and qualitative data for this. And we looked at school climate surveys that gave us an insight on what was really happening in the in-school suspension room. We also conducted interviews in order to get the opinions of students and teachers. And we also spent 2 Saturdays at UMass meeting with educational experts to learn about the impact of exclusionary practices.
We did some research on education, and one thing we learned was about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is this right here. And it teaches us that in order for someone to reach their fullest potential, they need their physiological safety, belonging, and esteem needs met. If they don't feel safe, secure, or have trusting relationships, they will never meet their fullest potential as students or as people. We use Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a frame for both determining the problem and solving it.
So we don't have time to discuss our whole project, but we want to share one key finding that we find really important, because most schools now have in-school suspension, but that's the reality of it with names like student support room. Yeah, support, okay. The finding was that in-school suspension, as it currently operates, has consequences similar to out-of-school suspension. Suspensions cause students to miss class, leading to them to fall behind in their work, and also, it doesn't solve the root of the problem. Suspensions often function in a way that make behaviors worse. Out-of-school suspension is a predictor of being held back a grade, dropping out, as well as incarceration. In our own school, students of color are disproportionately referred to ISS. In 2015 and 2016 school year, nearly 90% of referrals were students of color. Mind you, 70% of our school population is Latinos.
So after understanding the problem, we research solutions and present things to people in positions of power. So in this photo, you see some members of Palante presenting to administrators and department chairs. So a lot of the things that we push for are ways that people are now using in-school suspension. Like our school, the in-school suspension room was called student support. So what we asked is for them to, instead of masking the fact that it was actually suspension, to actually start providing youth with support. Like now there's a therapist in the room, and there's also 2 members of Palante in there to help students reflect and connect. And it's still not perfect, but it's way better than what it was before.
So in addition to White Power, we also fight for changes by doing action in the community. This is a big action we did in August, where nearly 100 people came to support us. I'm actually up there, my father's mid-sneeze, or cough. So we held a brief teach-in, and then the members of RJ spoke before the school committee board to fight for our funding for our program because we lost it. We received half of our funding, and we still continue to fight for it and to pressure legislators to give us the rest.
All right, I'm kind of emotional right now because this is my masterpiece right here. I made this. I'm proud. Yes. What we learned over the last year in this program is that we can't fight alone. We need your help, all right? So let's build a movement in Holyoke schools and throughout the whole valley. Support us by attending our events, and you can learn more about our upcoming events on our Facebook page, which I created.
We also created a campaign this summer to fight for changes this year. Our first goal was related to the funding that was cut by the Massachusetts State Senate, and they cut an entire full-time position for interventions. Like, this was honestly the biggest hit to us because right when we were starting to, so we've only been running for about 3 years now, yeah. So the first year, of course, like we were getting used to things. Second year, we were like, boom, we got this. And then this year, like the second year going into the third year, we were like, okay, we have this and this plan, and then they cut that position. It was awful. Like, it hit us so hard because that position, what they do is they take the referral, so like what the issue is, I guess you could call it, and they set up a meeting with the student leaders, and they set up the meeting with the students or with the teachers, right? And then we intervene and we mediate and we restore, like we fix it. And like without that position, we couldn't do it. So like we've been trying to get money and funding for that position because it's much needed. We're also trying to expand the restorative justice to other schools in Holyoke, because we don't just want it in Holyoke High, we want it in every single school, because it doesn't start when they're older, it starts since they were young, so it's kind of started young. We also want to monitor the police use in Holyoke High School because maybe most of you don't know, but they have an office. They have an office at our high school. That office can be used for Latinos that are struggling in class. But there's a police there, like, are you joking? It's ridiculous, so yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, so to close, we want to leave you with something to think about. So one of our adult allies shared this video with us that captures a lot of what we talk about today. So we want to leave you with the words of this son and father, Albert and Aiden Sykes. So as you watch, imagine what our schools would be like if teachers and administrators taught young people and treated young people the way that Albert treats Aiden. So what would our schools like and what would our society be like?
Do you remember what was going through your head when you first saw me?
I remember when the doctor pulled you out, the first thing I thought was that he was being too rough with you. And he actually held you like a little Sprite bottle, and he was like, here's your baby. That was the most proud moment of my life. Don't tell your brothers, because it's 3 of y'all. But it was like looking at a blank canvas and just imagining what you want the painting to look like at the end, but also knowing you can't control the paint strokes. You know, the fear was just, I gotta bring up a black boy in Mississippi, which is a tough place to bring up kids, period. But there are statistics that say black boys born after the year 2002 have a 1 in 3 chance of going to prison. And all 3 of my sons were born after the year 2002.
So Dad, why do you take me to protest so much?
I think I take you for a bunch of reasons. One is that I want you to see what it looks like when people come together, but also that you understand that it's not just about people that are familiar to you, but it's about everybody. Did you know the work that Martin Luther King was doing was for everybody and it wasn't just for black people?
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah. So that's how you gotta think. If you decide that you wanna be a cab driver, then you gotta be the most impactful cab driver that you can possibly be.
Are you proud of me?
Of course. You my man. I just love everything about you, period.
The thing I love about you never gives up on me. That's one of the things I will always remember about my dad.
You said it like I'm on the way out of here.
So Dad, what are your dreams for me?
My dream is for you to live out your dreams. It's an old proverb that talks about when children are born, children come out with their fists closed because that's where they keep all their gifts. And as you grow, your hands learn to unfold because you're learning to release your gifts to the world. And so, for the rest of your life, I want to see you live with your hands unfolded.
So if our schools were a place where teachers and administrators treated and taught young people the way he treats his son, it would be a place where young people were cared for, deeply cared for, where they learned to fight, for the changes we need to move towards a more just and equitable society, where they learned that instead of having their fists clenched, learning with their fists clenched, they learned to open their fists and share their gifts.
Before we go, I just wanted to give a big thank you and shout out to our adult coordinators as well as our adult supporters, Luke, Danny, Joe, and Jericho. Thank you.
I also want to thank Sapphire for this, but I also want to make a note that without our supporters and without all of you guys, we wouldn't have a voice. You don't get a voice. So to have this is amazing, and to have support. I wasn't a public speaker until I joined this group, and it's amazing to be able to make changes in the community. All of us. We're amazing.
Anybody have any questions or answers? We just like walked off like nothing was a joke.
Yeah? Do you come to other schools and speak to the faculty to like help transform their understanding?
Yeah,
I think they're just like sometimes they're like they came out of our system too. They were the kids that didn't have adults speaking to them the way you're speaking, and so I think adults need to have their brains unlocked from the oppressive system that they went through, and that teachers aren't the demons, they want to, they just don't know how. And so to you, come to schools to talk to adults.
We haven't yet. We've talked at our high school, like to
I'd
teachers.
like to invite you. Everybody to help us with our mascot change and to help us with unlocking our community that is so oppressed and stuck in their oppression.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Like if anybody else, like just honestly contact us. I think Luke. Yes, him right there. Right. You could probably just contact him, Danny, Jerica, Joe.
Only with your permission will I contact him.
Of course, with our permission. Yeah, we would love to reform schools to help youth. Like that is what we're here to do. Because youth are scared to do it, so we're here.
For those of you who want to invite these amazing folks to come and speak, I also recommend that you look for money in your budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder if, I mean, it's incredible, so inspiring what you're sharing. Have you, in your discussions, talked about just the testing regimes and as part of the whole school to prison pipeline, just high stakes, the MCAS and that whole system? And with that, like talking with other students, like organizing other students, just generally to bring them into your project.
We don't really talk about the standardized testing, but we would be willing to. Like, honestly, we can add it. There's so many different systems, so it's hard to target every single system because there are so many. So we talk about like the oppressive ones, but we should talk about the like testing. We should do that. There's a lot of them, so we will talk about that. We will do that.
Hola, Tammy. Hola. I guess one of the things, a couple of things that came to mind. One is I noticed that some of you are like upperclassmen, so like juniors and seniors. And I wonder if there's a plan to bring in like younger, like first years, so that the work that you do is sustainable.
So actually, there's more than just 7 of us, and there are freshmen, and then, like we're sophomores, and there's juniors and seniors. And it's not just by grade, but we all have different backgrounds. So some of us, we may have a really good life, and other ones may live in the flats or have been homeless and stuff. So we all have different backgrounds and cultures and grades. So we're definitely spread out. It's not just like a certain type of person. And if we're failing classes, we focus on school too, but we're still kept in the group and we're still supported to do better.
And at this moment, I was just actually just talking to my colleague here, and as a community, because we're from Holyoke, we would love for you guys to get community support, but secondly, we want to try to figure out how to have a campaign to defund the cops that are in your school.
And another note for something you mentioned before, we also, I think around June-ish, we start recruiting members for the next year. So we recruit members, we have an open house and all that stuff, so just a point. Yeah, we also work during the summer. Yeah, if you guys ever have anything you want to do during the summer.
And also like going along with that, last year I think there was 14 of us. Yeah, like 14 of us, and then this year we recruited like 7 or 8 freshmen, and like sophomores also, and like juniors. So it's like there's a variety, like Bianca said, there's a variety of us. It's not just like targeted towards a certain grade or a certain ethnic group or anything. No, it's literally so diverse. We're all so different. It's crazy. Yes.
Excuse me. I know that us sitting here, we've been incredibly impressed by how well spoken you guys are, how wonderful, how diverse your background. I know that the Native American Intertribal Council would like to set something up with you. We have some larger forums that we're getting into. We've been getting into the community, and we will help you guys find some funding.
Thank you so much.
But I work, I'm the director of secretariat for Holyoke, and some of you I think know the turnaround plan for the district explicitly cited the Restorative Justice Program at Holyoke High and wanted to expand it. Have you as a group yet begun to talk about how to bring RJ to both high schools in Holyoke?
So I'm pretty sure for advisory and maybe like on Wednesdays when we have work, we've started to talk about it. We're slowly getting to more depth because we're also talking about like how to sponsor a group and stuff like that as well. So we've touched base on it. We haven't completely gone into like depth, but yeah. Thank you.
You can start getting into depth.
Any other questions? Yes. Yeah.
One thing I know is the system of white supremacy is built on white people. And I'm wondering what the white students in Holyoke and maybe other communities, what they're doing to unseat white supremacy.
So I'm not Latino, I'm white, but so I have a really strong opinion on things like that because yes, I'm white and I did grow up at some point in a white community and based around like they were like in charge, they were racist. My birth families are racist, my father's not, my stepmom's not, like they're fine. They're also homophobic and sexist as well. So, but my skin isn't my culture. I've grown up in different cultures. I've grown up in Black community, Puerto Rican community. So for me being white, I don't feel like I have any sort of power or supremacy. And not everyone, I don't know if I'm the only white person in the group. I don't know skin color because skin color doesn't matter to me. But we talk about it. We also talk about guys if having a woman in charge. but at least in our group, we kind of, it doesn't matter. I don't know if it really answers your question. Can you repeat it then?
Yes. White supremacy is built by white people. It's not personal necessarily, but it is one that is held in place by white people. And it's going to take not only people of color to undo that system, but it's definitely going to require white people standing up and dismantling that.
To answer your question, to get rid of white supremacy, they can join restorative justice to get rid of it, and also to help youth lead the school and not only teachers.
And what was the last thing you said?
For youth to also lead the school and not only teachers. So there's like not a pyramid, it's a circle, so we're all equal.
So, este grupo no solamente es sobre blancos, negros, de las cosas así. Nosotros solo estamos para ayudarnos cada uno, como ella dijo, en los círculos somos todos iguales. No estamos hablando sobre blancos, negros, todo el mundo nos necesitamos ayudarnos entre todos, so, así hacemos un mejor.
Okay. She said that this group isn't just about like white, black, Latino, nothing. It's literally a circle, and we're all equal in that circle. We have no better person, no nothing. It's just a circle, and we're here to support each other.
I'm gonna say that not only is like we're not based on skin, but it's really about giving youth a voice, any sort of youth a voice. So whether good or bad, like we want to express our opinions and communicate with other people.
I just want to say that it's not your job to get rid of white supremacy at Holyoke High or in Holyoke or in the state. You are doing an amazing job, and you are leaders. You know, most of you are students of color, and you're proud of being students of color, and you are being leaders to the rest of the students in Holyoke. And like you said, Bianca, many students who are white in Holyoke have grown up in the flats among other students of color, and so they have also faced some sort of oppression by going to Holyoke High. There are students in Holyoke who are privileged, right? They're privileged because of their last name and their whoever, you know, the generations of their last name living in Holyoke. That does exist. You're already doing a great job at educating and empowering other students of color and students who are feeling that they are being oppressed in one way or another. So don't feel that you have a job to eliminate white supremacy. You are already doing it.
Yeah.
You are already acting up on it, and so you want to continue to do that. You do want to see color. You do want to appreciate one another for the color of your skin, because unfortunately, the darker your skin is, the more struggle you're going to face in life. And that's a reality. And so, yes, do see color, do talk about it, and do talk about the fact that there is this discrepancy, but also own the fact that you are working on it and you're doing a great job.
Very well said. What I have to share is very similar to that, is that white supremacy and white privilege is such a huge issue that undermines so much in society and causes so much damage. And there are many different ways that it needs to be addressed. And it also needs to be addressed at many different levels. So I want to recognize and applaud you, because you are using a powerful way of addressing it, and that is with unity with diversity. That is very, very powerful. It's a very impactful tool to address white supremacy. So yes, you are doing it, and yes, we need many other ways as individuals, as organizations, and as communities to address it as well, to support efforts like this that are coming from young people. So thank you.
Thank you.
When you talk about the legislature defunding you, are you talking about the whole school committee, or are you talking about at the state level?
The state level is the state level. Yeah.
So we have a vote, there's a vote coming November 8th. This is your opportunity to put people in the state legislature that will support efforts like this. Those of you who are registered to vote, please vote with a conscience. Those of you who are not yet registered to vote, please register and vote.
Can we have another round of applause? Thank you so much for all of the hard work that you put into doing this keynote. You're amazing. I'm glad we're already getting into the content of the conversation, and we're talking about white supremacy. This is great. This is what we're here for. I want to just say a couple things. There have been so many people involved in making this conference possible. And I want to thank a few of those people here. First, the steering committee, who has been instrumental in developing the vision of this conference. Jerica Coffey, the Director of Youth Organizing at Holyoke High School. Where are you, Jerica? There she is. And Akessa Mafi, who's a teacher at the Palo Freire Social Justice Charter School. And we also have additional consultation from Talia London, who's a doctoral student at UMass Amherst in the SJE program. I also want to thank our Transforming Education for Social Justice youth engagement intern, Zami Bugs King. Right there. She provided additional vision to help us think about what kind of conference young people might want to attend. I want to thank Casey Daigle Matos, Jill Robinson, Bill Deal, Isolde Ortega Bustamante, and the Teaching and Learning Platform and SJE platform at the Collaborative for Educational Services for handling all the details to make this thing happen. And also, most of the resources for this conference came out of the technology department. So I want to thank our Chief Technology Officer, Angela Burke, for the vision and support for this. And one last thing, I come from the Social Justice Education program at UMass Amherst. I got my doctorate there. I was there for 10 years, and I want to thank the people in that program that are here now, that are presenting today, and I want to sort of just say that I think that the legacy of the program and the people that started that program, Barbara Love, Jimena Zuniga, Bailey Jackson, and Pat Griffin, are really, their spirit is here as part of this. A little bit of logistics. You've got 15 minutes after this to move to your next session. We have some rooms are right around the corner over here, and FPA 227 and 225 are down this hallway. And then in the Kittredge Center are all the other sessions. We have ushers to help direct you. If you're an usher, would you like to stand up and raise your hand? These are people that you can ask questions to. You can also ask me. Sessions last for 2 hours so that you can have time to really dig in and process. I would like you to be mindful about the kind of guidelines that you would usually use in these kinds of conversations. Confidentiality is one of those. Making sure that people who might normally in the world be marginalized are in the center of the conversation, for example, those kinds of things.
We have lunch from 11:45 to 1:15, that's 90 minutes. We'll be together for the first 30 minutes, and then for an hour during that time, there are either regional dialogues, caucuses, or tabling that folks can do, and I'll say more about that at lunchtime. What was that? Ooh, Medium. If you see a Medium up in the back up there, with the t-shirt that says Western Mass for Black Lives, there's a group of Holyoke Community College students that are selling t-shirts as a fundraiser for their work. And they're gonna be outside, and at lunchtime there's a table and you can purchase a shirt. And also connect with some students. The Community Service and Service Learning Club at HCC. They'll be raffling a basket of goodies for teachers, or hoodies. A basket of goodies. One last thing, there are the regular gendered restrooms that we're all used to, and then there are single occupancy restrooms on the second floor of the Kittredge Center. Please enjoy yourself. If you have questions, concerns, or comments, let me know. Also, if you are missing your keys and you drive a Volkswagen, you may have left them at the registration table. Thank you, and enjoy your sessions.